Good afternoon, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. My name is Tiara Durham, and I am the founder of colorsofcovid.org. It's a nonprofit that serves as a village for people of color to voice and share their experiences with COVID-19, as well as the impact that COVID-19 has had on them. In addition, the website also shares evidence-based information to help quell the misinformation and disinformation that we've seen over the last year. So again, I want to thank you. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Please check us out, colorsofcovid.org, and follow us on social media. I'd love to have you follow our journey. Please remember to keep your mics on mute. There will be an opportunity to ask questions, and so we will let you know at the end of the discussion when that will start. And we will basically have a presentation about 15-20 minutes, and then we will launch into our panel discussion and Q&A. So with that, once again, let me welcome you not only to Colors of COVID, but also to our new speaker series that we just launched today. And it's called That COVI Life. I know some people have asked, like, what does that mean, that COVI life? So basically, the series it will highlight Philadelphia communities of color who've been impacted by the pandemic, sharing their experience through the Colors of COVID platform. Our goal is to bring awareness to the challenges and opportunities that these communities of colors face and provide access to resources that can support them. So when you think about COVI life, it literally is the life that we're living every day. There was certainly pre-COVID, but during and after, we are basically living in the COVI life. So for today's topic, we'll focus on the challenges of sustaining the Philadelphia Black arts and culture business community amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Greater Philadelphia Cultural Alliance recently published the results of their COVID-19 economic impact survey. And the findings from the report were very disconcerting. And so I have asked two special guests to join me today in having a discussion on how it's impacting the Black arts and culture community and what we can do to help. So first off, I want to recognize Karl Morris, the owner of the Urban Art Gallery. Karl has turned his love for art and real estate into a beautiful refuge for Philadelphia's creatives. Since its opening in the fall of 2013, the Urban Art Gallery has quickly grown into a highly sought after venue while continuing to grow its influence in the Philadelphia art community. Founded in an effort to bridge arts in the urban community, Urban Art Gallery's goal is to create an exciting venue where emerging artists can exhibit and sell their work. And through this, the gallery looks to stimulate appreciation and participation in the arts by showcasing unique and inspirational creations, which include but are not limited to poetry showcases, live performances, youth workshops, and private events. And the UAG is also committed to serving the youth by partnering with the community to create engaging programs for free. And some of their program partners include Chess Chat, Art Buds, which is a free youth art class, violin classes, Urban Gaming Academy, and more. So thank you so much, Karl, for joining us. You're on mute.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. And second, I'd like to introduce Priscilla Luce, interim president and CEO of the Cultural Alliance of Greater Philadelphia. Since 2003, Priscilla has advised arts, culture, and other nonprofit organizations facing times of challenge and transition in developing high leverage strategic plans designed for growth. Her broad background covers virtually all aspects of arts and nonprofit management, philanthropy, and volunteerism. She served as vice president of the National Nonprofit Fundraising Consulting Firm and previously held public relations positions at the Philadelphia Museum of Art and Mount Holyoke College. Priscilla also served as vice president of corporate communications with TRW Incorporated, a Fortune 100 global aerospace, automotive and information systems company headquartered in Cleveland, Ohio. Priscilla joined the board of directors of Philadelphia Theater Company in 2007 and served as president of the theater company from 2010 to 2013, then assuming a full-time staff role as executive managing director to help the company navigate an increasingly challenging financial environment. Priscilla has been volunteer president and executive director of the Albert M. Greenfield Foundation in Philadelphia since 2000. And while in Cleveland, Priscilla served in a number of board leadership roles, including president for organizations such as the Ohio Chamber Orchestra, New Organization for the Visual Arts, WCPN 90.3 FM, and Business Volunteers Unlimited, which she helped found. She's also served as chair of the Cleveland State University Foundation, a 501c3 volunteer-led organization that raises private funds and manages the university's endowment, which during her tenure doubled to $40 million. Priscilla is currently a member of the board of visitors of the Division of General, Thoracic, and Fetal Surgery of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. She's a graduate of the University of Pennsylvania with a degree in English and attended executive marketing programs at the Fuqua School of Business, Duke University, the London Business School, and the Kellogg School of Management, Northwestern University. She is an Albert Nelson Marquis Lifetime Achievement honoree in the Who's Who of America. Now, I have to tell you that it was important for me to share all that because I'm honored to have both Karl and Priscilla. You know, I think that when someone has done as much for the community as Priscilla has, it deserves to be noted. So thank you, Priscilla.
You're very kind. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. All right, so let's turn to Priscilla to share some of the information that came out of the report for the Cultural Alliance Impact Report.
Thanks so much, Tiara. It's just great to be here. I'm looking forward to talking with all of you. The Cultural Alliance is the region's leading arts and cultural advocacy, research, and marketing organization. Our mission is to lead, strengthen, and amplify the voices of a cultural community that ignites creativity, inspires people, and is essential for a healthy region. Our membership is made up of more than 450 organizations, ranging from museums and dance companies to community art centers, historic sites, music ensembles, and zoos. I'm here to share the findings from our COVID-19 economic impact surveys. The report on this data provides some of the most complete views thus far of the economic, social, and programmatic damage inflicted on the region's arts and cultural sector by the pandemic. Here you can see some of the goals of why we completed this research. First, to provide concrete data on the impact of the pandemic, and then to develop recommendations for elected officials, funders, and other stakeholders. Let's begin by taking a look at the stark revenue loss we estimate the arts and culture sector has seen over the past year. From March 2020 through March 2021, the Greater Philadelphia Cultural Alliance estimates a total revenue loss of $371.7 million for the arts and culture sector in the 5-county Philadelphia region. This figure reflects a loss of more than $1 million a day during the pandemic by the region's arts and culture sector. This is important for 3 reasons. First, if this loss continues and without any action, we are likely to see this number rise dramatically by the end of 2021. 3 months into this year, we already know that recovery for the sector will be a multi-year process and likely won't truly even begin until 2022. Second, this figure only accounts for the total revenue loss in our sector. It doesn't even begin to touch on the associated losses and indirect economic impact that arts and culture brings to other sectors like restaurants, shopping, hospitality, and even parking. And most importantly, this represents a hollowing out of the sector, As we'll touch on in a few minutes, beyond the pure financial loss, this demonstrates a significant loss in jobs and programs that has a ripple effect through our communities. Now let's talk about what we learned in the rest of the survey results. Several key findings have emerged showing a potential financial and workforce crisis for arts and culture, as well as a devastating impact on the region's long-term prospects for recovery. Please keep in mind that the data presented in the remainder of this presentation applies only to the organizations who responded to our surveys. Additionally, the survey responses were self-reported, and as such, we will provide anonymity to the specific organizations who participated. 289 organizations participated over these two surveys, with 248 organizations participating in the most recent survey. 225 organizations completed both surveys. Participating organizations covered the 5-county Greater Philadelphia region and represent every artistic discipline. In our January survey, we asked respondents, if your organization does not receive any additional funding, how long will you be able to continue to survive on current contributed and earned income streams? Without immediate action, the data points to a potential loss of up to 41% of the region's arts and culture sector by the fall of 2021. Those 41% of respondents, or 102 organizations, which the Cultural Alliance has categorized as at risk based on their responses, represent every budget category, all 5 counties, and nearly every artistic discipline. 72% of at-risk organizations have budgets under $1 million. But a critical point here is that 59% of these at-risk organizations report limited cash savings and reserves as one of their top financial concerns. They are literally running out of money with little to no help in sight. If these 102 at-risk organizations cease to exist by the end of 2021, the Greater Philadelphia cultural sector will lose critical programs that address racial justice, serve the LGBTQ community, provide accessibility to the arts for people with disabilities, and create workforce development opportunities. And once lost, these programs are gone from the community. They don't simply find a new home or have another arts organization step in to maintain them. These programs simply disappear if an organization closes. Now let's take a look at all survey respondents, the concerns they have from our most recent survey. 46% of survey respondents report right now, that's the January to June 2021 timeframe, as the period of their most urgent financial need and their greatest risk. This number soars to 76% when that period is extended by just 3 months to the end of September. Survey participants identified their top financial concerns as reduced earned revenue and reduced philanthropic giving. More than 6,500 individuals' jobs have been affected, including layoffs, furloughs, reduced hours, and elimination of contractors. Of those jobs, more than 2,400 of them were positions eliminated through layoffs and furloughs. This accounts only for the job losses reported by survey respondents and is likely significantly higher sector-wide. We know from our 2018 social impact census that arts and culture organizations do an incredible amount of community engagement work, which we refer to as social impact work. We asked survey respondents about which populations they work with and social topics their work addresses, as well as any changes that have been made to these programs due to the pandemic. 38% of respondent organizations have canceled or significantly reduced social impact programming serving vulnerable populations since the pandemic began. Those most affected are populations in congregate settings, such as schools, senior living residences, criminal justice systems, group homes, and medical facilities. Arts and cultural organizations have filled the void caused by COVID-19. They have organized emotional support groups for at-risk youth. They have addressed alarming rates of food insecurity by creating food distribution programs in high poverty neighborhoods. They have partnered with community organizations to provide social services to people in need. And they have responded to the urgent calls for racial justice by creating fellowships for BIPOC artists. They were able to do this work because they are trusted in their communities. They have done all of this despite slashed budgets and reduced staff capacity, but this cannot be sustained. Here are the key takeaways from the data. We know that the runway is short for many arts and culture organizations, and it shortens with each passing day. If these organizations are lost, the cultural fabric of our region will be changed permanently. Earned income is the top concern for arts and culture leaders. The sector must be able to resume earning income and be an active part of the recovery. We're witnessing thousands of artists and administrators leave the sector for greater job security and better pay and benefits. Again, once lost, it is doubtful that they will return to a sector that historically lags in these areas. Lastly, arts and culture is essential to the region's economic recovery. Without this sector, we risk our reputation as an international destination and also our ability to attract talent and businesses who want to operate in a culturally vibrant area. So based on the data, the Cultural Alliance has made a number of recommendations for the philanthropic, civic, and corporate sectors to ensure that as many as possible of our region's arts and culture organizations survive into 2022 and beyond. First of all, we're calling on city and state elected officials to allocate federal stimulus funds to the arts and culture sector at a level that matches relief funds for other similarly challenged industries. The Philadelphia Cultural Fund is a financial lifeline to the small community-based arts organizations which produce diverse arts and culture programming and that connect to and reflect their audiences. We're asking the city of Philadelphia to fully restore the Philadelphia Cultural Fund to its pre-pandemic level of $3 million. Moreover, we call on the city to develop plans to further increase PCF's allocation in the fiscal year 2022 budget process and beyond. To address the deep concerns around earned income, state and local governments must progressively lift COVID-19 occupancy restrictions to return arts organizations to full capacity as soon as it is safely possible. Summer and the holiday season are two of the most profitable times for arts organizations. Arts and culture organizations cannot continue to sustain themselves with capacity or operational restrictions as they did in 2020. Lastly, in support of both short-term and long-term recovery, we ask the city to allocate federal stimulus funding in support of collaborative marketing efforts as we partner with Visit Philadelphia and the Convention and Visitors Bureau to help bring visitors back. We need a collaborative sector-wide marketing campaign consisting of discounted advertising and public service announcements to address audience readiness concerns and welcome the public back into arts and culture spaces, similar to the You're Going to Love the Arts campaign that we remember from the 2000s. We're also making several key recommendations of the funding and the business communities. We're asking them to collaborate with the Cultural Alliance and be our partner in developing a multi-year long-term funding plan to ensure that the arts and culture sector not only survives, but emerges stronger and more financially sustainable in the years to come. We must also recognize the long-term structural issues within the nonprofit industry, and particularly within arts and culture, that result in pay and benefits that significantly lag behind other industries. Now, with more than 6,500 jobs affected, the challenge of talent retention is further exacerbated. We must establish standards for fair pay and benefits within the arts and culture sector, equitable with other industries. And finally, we call on funders to help facilitate this by supporting and encouraging fair pay and benefits within their grantees. Thanks very much. I'll stop there. And Tiara, I look forward to the discussion and any questions.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. This is my second time seeing the presentation, and it is always just I feel this immediate burden, and that's really why I wanted to take the opportunity to share this information with my network and through Venture Cafe, because I think there's an opportunity here to help bring awareness to the issue, and perhaps talk a little bit about what we can do to help contribute and solve the problem. So I have a question for you, Priscilla. I know as part of the presentation, you talked about the recommendation and public awareness campaign to address audience readiness concerns. And I was just curious, what do you mean by audience readiness concerns?
Well, from sampling we and others have done, we understand that audiences are concerned about being safe when they return. And so the campaigns that we are suggesting would focus on the means by which arts and culture has made their spaces safe. And many, many have. Museums are doing an amazing job, especially. And so that's what audiences and patrons want to know, that the places that they're going to visit will be safe. And we just have to communicate to them that they are indeed safe.
I get it. Makes sense. So I know you mentioned readiness and making sure that audiences are ready to go back into the different facilities. When I look at the Visit Philadelphia website, I know it lists a number of art galleries such as the African American Museum, the Colored Girls Museum, Urban Art Gallery is also listed. And that, even though I moved to Philadelphia almost 10 years ago, I still go to Visit Philly to learn about what I should be checking out and looking at within Philadelphia. So what are some of the ways that you would like to see better integration into the forthcoming tourism efforts?
Well, first of all, I'm very pleased that the Cultural Alliance is aligning and collaborating with Visit Philly as they market the city to visitors and tourists. So arts and culture will be part of those efforts, which is great. Also, the Cultural Alliance itself is a great place to go. We have a couple of ways of communicating what's going on in the community. We also have, a list. Philly Fun Guide is one of our promotional efforts that lists what is going on in the community. So everyone can take a look, can go there and find out what's current, what's happening. And as we reopen, I also want to add that we're going to be making special efforts to market, especially what's going on with smaller arts organizations, particularly BIPOC-led arts organizations. And PICO is helping us with that by helping to sponsor a marketing program specifically for those organizations. We'll have a cohort of maybe 8 to 10 of those organizations that we, the Cultural Alliance, will be marketing to help them bring their patrons back and for them to reach expanded audiences. So that's very exciting. We're very, very pleased about that. And we'll be continuing to look for ways to both grow that number of people that are receiving our marketing support and through other more creative ways of doing it as well.
Great. And if we want to stay informed on when those different things are happening, should we just go to the Cultural Alliance website?
Yeah, we have also a monthly newsletter, Culture Wire, which goes out, which people can sign up for. But if you just follow us on our website, you'll be able to have access to all of those. You'll find out about all of those things.
Thank you. Thank you. And the your presentation, highlighted the impact to arts and cultural organizations overall, but specifically for the Black and Brown artists and art businesses. What are the opportunities that they have to stay informed on how they can become part of some of these efforts that you talked about?
I think it's the same ways to stay abreast of Philly Fun Guide and Culture Wire. Just keep abreast of these activities. Get in touch with us, and we can be of some assistance to you. Maybe offer specific suggestions for your particular organization on how you can expand your reach. So I think that's definitely the best way, and we'll be improving and growing those things, as I said, going forward.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you. So Karl, just to get a better perspective. So again, Karl has his own art gallery, Urban Art Gallery. And I really would love to understand from your perspective, Karl, how has the pandemic affected your organization? And perhaps some stories about other organizations in the community.
Sure. Thanks again for having us. We actually, it kind of hurt us all the way around the board in regards to, in March, we actually shut down due to, the city shutting down. So we actually had to stop. We have art shows every first Saturday of the month, and we were scheduled to have an art show that particular month. And unfortunately, ever since that, we haven't had any shows. We actually had one in November when the city was kind of turning back around, or in October, and then they shut us back down again. So it was just a non-stop thing in regards to just us not having any type of business whatsoever. All our program is shut down. So as you were saying earlier, that we have a free art program, we have a free chess program, music program, we even have a young ladies mentoring program. And unfortunately, all those programs had to come to a halt. So, unfortunately, everything that we've done, the only thing I pretty much was doing was just coming here, just checking on the building, making sure everything is fine. But even with the riots that was going on, that was another issue because they was on 52nd Street. So we just had to make sure that the building, everything was, pretty good condition or safe. But the COVID situation really just shut everything down for us. Sad, and hopefully everything is going to turn back around soon. But right now it's still kind of iffy, and we haven't done anything as of yet because we just don't know what's happening. So we're staying in the kind of in the neutral zone in a sense.
And so you don't have a sense of when you'll be able to open again?
No, we actually started the programs back up with limited children. So we actually just started the chess program back up in last 2 weeks ago. We started the chess program back up with 10 children, and April 3rd, we're starting the art program back up. So we're starting the programs back up slowly but surely, and starting the programs up slowly but surely. But right now, just the music. I'm sorry, is the chess and the art for right now.
Thank you. And have you heard anything from some of the artists that you've worked with in the past in terms of what their experiences have been like?
Yeah, I spoke to a few different artists, and it varies because I know 2 artists that actually did well during the actual pandemic, and exceptionally well. And the other artists that I speak to on a regular basis, it's pretty much just slow motion for them. I mean, they're still creating, but they just haven't had a chance to sell their work and kind of like showcase their work because there is no place to showcase right now from what they're telling me. And they do what they have to do with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but nothing in regards to an actually gallery showing.
Thank you. So I do want to turn Q&A to the audience if you have any questions for any of us. And if you don't have a question, perhaps you have a suggestion for how we can continue to support, if you know of other art organizations that we should be made aware of. I think Priscilla's given us a lot of excellent resources to find information. And now you know about the Urban Art Gallery. Any questions from the audience? Marion, I see you. I'm calling you out.
hilarious. Thank you so much for just sharing all of the information and your time. Karl, I've been to the Urban Art Gallery. I can't wait until it's back up and running. I apologize for coming on a little late, but I guess in terms of just an art lover and consumer, what is the best way for us to support? I definitely Philly Fun Guide. I love it because I love discounts also. And so yeah, I'll keep on checking that out and being involved there. But are there any other ways we can support? Yeah.
Yes, yes, and very, very importantly, support the arts organizations you love. Support them right now with your dollars as much as you can. Every little bit helps. These organizations are in great need at this moment, and now is the perfect time. And moral support helps as well. And, volunteering is always good. But I would say right now, if you have the capacity to provide financial support, this would be the time.
Excellent, excellent. When you think about support, you often think about the dollars, but you can always give your time.
You can.
And even just the moral support, which I think is great. Karl, do you have an online, I know that you have your website. Is there a way for people to look at art and purchase online? Is that something that you've considered?
Well, we actually are considering that now. So I'm working with an artist now to help me build. Well, like I said, we do have the basic website, but we want to create a web store for other artists to kind of just upload their actual artwork that we can actually start selling their work. So we definitely plan to do that in the near future. Hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have that up and running and we'll be blasting it everywhere. So we can't wait to get that up and running.
Well, thank you. Definitely keep me updated and let me know when you are live and ready for people to purchase. Sure. Because we can make sure to share it with our networks. Any other questions? I didn't have an opportunity to thank Venture Cafe, and Tracy, I'm glad that you're on, and Angela, just to say thank you for giving us this opportunity to share the information with the community. I know that you all record this and put the information out for public consumption. So I intend to continue to share it with my networks because I think that, again, the information that Priscilla shared is just so remarkably challenging to know that that our artists and art organizations are in such a compromising position, specifically those at-risk organizations, to know that 41% of them can be gone by the end of the year without any additional support, just really had an impact on me. And when I think about what art does for our children and what it does for our community and how it influences their ability to be better educated in not only schools, but in as well as in the arts and culture, which is fundamental to helping them to be better citizens, in my opinion. So to me, it just is more than what we see on the slides. It has so much more to do with how we protect our future for our children. So I want to thank everyone. If there no other questions, I definitely don't want to hold you on for too much longer. So I will give it one additional opportunity for questions, and if not, we can wrap up. Oh, we have one hand raised. Karen.
Good evening. I have a question in reference to what I actually run a substantially large youth program in New Jersey, in Cumberland County, and I had a question in reference to bringing students to Philadelphia, to the Gentleman's Museum, to actually do art, to have them do art and experience art as a fee-for-service activity. Is that something that he does or is set up to do, or do we have to wait for COVID to kind of level out a little bit more before we start doing those type of activities?
Yeah, well, I believe that we still have to wait for the COVID to kind of just resolve because of the limited space. like our space isn't large at all. So even with our programs, we just do 10 children just because to make everybody comfortable. So as soon as they give us the green light to pretty much get everything back in, full fashion, then I would love to do something like that. That'd be pretty cool.
Okay, are you set up to be able to come outside of Philadelphia into New Jersey to do something like that? Or should we talk offline in reference to that?
I can always just give you my number. We can talk later on about that, but we have done things similar to that. We've done them with actually senior groups that will go to the location and done like a painting with a twist with them. So it's something that we can link up with other artists to kind of just venture out and travel to where you're located.
Awesome, awesome.
Thank you. I'm so glad you all were able to connect.
Yes,
Ms.
for sure.
Durham, will you make sure that you forward that information to me, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Karl, I'm happy to forward your information along and can share Karen's as well.
Yes, please. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Have you also thought about doing something like that with students, but in a virtual platform?
We've done it. The young lady that runs the program for Art Buzz, Shanina, we've done it a couple times with the virtual art. So it actually worked out well for a little while, and then it kind of like faded off. Like, I guess to keep their attention was hard with the arts. And it's hard to kind of like, I think actually teaching them art is more of a hands-on effect to really keep their attention. So we tried it, but it didn't really work out that well. It's crazy. We also had a young gentleman here doing a virtual karate class too. So that was pretty cool. So we're going to probably bring that back. So we're trying to do a couple of things in a virtual reality sense as well.
I'm kind of wondering, like, what are everyone's thoughts? Because I also run a gallery at Esther Klein Gallery at the Science Center. What are everyone's thoughts about whether, when the pandemic is over, things will just return back to the way they are, or will the art scene and the art world be something totally different?
I think that it's going to actually just bounce back, because I believe people really want to jump back out into the streets to do something. So from just a little bit of things that we do here, like a couple different events that we have, people can't wait to get back out. So it might even like recharge it in another level, and that's what we're hoping for. So I can't wait to see what happens, but I really believe that it will recharge it once we get back up and running.
Yeah, I would just add that I think it's going to make a difference which organizations may not be able to reopen. And as you heard, we are concerned about that. We think there are a number of organizations that may not be able to reopen because they simply didn't have the cash, especially if there isn't any further relief funding coming, or they don't have sufficient private resources to fall back on. So some of the programs that those organizations were delivering, therefore, might not be present in a reopening. I mean, it's too soon to know, but that is a risk that we are currently running. So for those organizations who are able to return, and we certainly hope and pray it's as many as possible, everyone is anxious to get back, as Karl just said, and we hope that that will indeed happen.
So you were suggesting if people want to support, we should just make donations to the gallery directly?
I think that any organization should, make a donation directly. Mm-hmm.
I know that organizations that were surveyed are not shared, for discretion reasons or privacy. Is there a way for us to know or to find out if there are organizations that we should be supporting more?
Well,
so that
I
they
think,
don't,
well,
so they
let me
don't have to shutter?
I can make a blanket statement. I think every organization right now needs more support. So it doesn't matter what the organization is, pick the one you love the most, or and just be there for that organization right now. And that's the best possible thing that you can do.
Okay. Well, I have a number of ideas in my head. I mean, I really liked pulling this group together, and I think there are a lot of great ideas. And perhaps there's an opportunity for us to do kind of a virtual art tour, if you will. I know that some of the larger organizations do art tours, but for some of the smaller art organizations, if there's you know, a venue such as this one that can support those and have all of the artists or organizations come and just give a few minutes about what they do and how we can help them, I think, you know, that would be well served, because I know a lot of the art organizations, but I feel like every time I turn around, there's a new one. I didn't know about Urban Art Gallery, actually. And I found Karl in an article that I read, and you know, I'm definitely going to come and support him now. So I'm just worried that the exposure, there might be a little lack of exposure, and I'd love to be able to try to create that venue or that opportunity to have artists to come and speak and share about what they do. Does something like that exist right now, Priscilla?
I'm not aware. I'll ask Kristen if she knows anything. I'm not aware of an open forum like that. And I think it's a wonderful idea. I think that would make a great contribution.
I'm aware of one.
Oh, good.
We have one at Venture Cafe every first Thursday. Any art gallery can sign up. You just have to fill out a form online. And when you sign up, you get a virtual table. And we usually get about, I don't know, 80 to 120 people on a given night. And they'll stop by your table and you can give them all this information. So that's always open as a gathering space for artists.
Awesome.
Angela, would you be able to pop a link to the form in the chat in case anybody in this space wants to sign up?
Yes, let me get that real
Thank
quick.
you.
And
Yes.
to your point, Tiara, like I've been amazed. I mean, we've generally had about 15 galleries for the last couple months when we've done it. And so many of the galleries I didn't know existed. And, you know, from large to small, there's just so many hidden gems. And so it's been really interesting to me to learn about them. And some are new, even in COVID, which is kind of like a crazy thing too. Like to think that folks have, you know, kind of the antithesis of the story, but like there are folks who have been able to, you know, forge forward and, you know, maybe in a modified concept of what they were intending, but it's been really fascinating.
Awesome. Well, I would love to support you all in that effort and try to seek out new galleries and have them join.
Sorry,
I
I'm
know. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I know Asian Arts Initiative also hosts like I think either monthly or bi-monthly like artist town hall for people to kind of gather and share what they're working on, whether it's visual arts or performing arts. So I can see if I can find a link to that to share as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will, I'll add it. I would love to add a section to the Colors of COVID website, just highlighting where these opportunities are for people to learn more information, and then also just to be able to feature some of the artists or art galleries that are out there. All right, well, I think it's been an awesome discussion. Again, I want to thank everyone for their time and contributions. If there are any other questions, I will hold for just another second if there are any. And then if not, I would certainly open it up to Karl and Priscilla to share any last words that you have, and we can close out the evening.
Well, I would just say thank you to you, Tiara, for what you're doing, and everyone on the call for being part of the arts and culture sector and being as supportive as you are. It's just great, and please continue.
We will try. I certainly have a passion for art, and I'll do everything that I can to support and to spread the word.
And I'd like to thank you guys as well too, just to, even though, you know, reaching out to us to, you know, to be on your platform, we really appreciate that. The more exposure that we get is better for us, that more and more people will reach out to us. And like you said, even just the moral support is a big deal. You know, the contributions is great, but the moral support is just as good. So again, once again, we appreciate what you guys are doing.
We loved
Thank
having you. And I just want to also let you know that every week we feature an artist for an hour. So if you ever want to get in touch with me, maybe we can feature some of your artists.
Oh yeah, all right, that sounds pretty cool. I'll look into that for sure.
Cool.
All right, well, I want to thank everyone for joining and supporting the first of our speaker series. So this was all about the impact of COVID-19 on Philadelphia Black arts and culture. We'll actually have our next event next Thursday, and it's going to focus on the impact of COVID-19 on Black restaurateurs within Philadelphia. So if you have an interest, or if you know other restaurateurs who could benefit from a discussion similar to this one, then please stay tuned and look for information on our social media platforms so that you can join. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you so much. This was
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Everybody have a good night.